Welcome to Shasun online special lecture series. I am Shenbagavalli from BCom General Department. Today we are going to see Introduction to Cost and Cost Accounting. What do you mean by cost? This is an actual expenditure of a given thing is known as cost. And what do you mean by costing? The actual ascertainment of cost is known as costing. Ascertaining the cost, we used to think about cost accounting. What do you mean by cost accounting? Cost, it is the process of recording and accounting the elements of cost is known as cost accounting. The elements of cost plays a vital role in the costing. The elements of cost are material, labor and overheads. The material is classified into two as direct material and indirect material. Labor is also classified into two, namely direct labor and indirect labor. Overheads is also classified into direct overhead and indirect overhead. We all know about that material and labor. The material is nothing but raw material which is utilized for the production, and labor those who are handling that raw material. But what do you mean by overhead? The direct cost utilized for the raw material and labor is known as overhead. The overhead is classified into direct and indirect only for the purpose of calculating the production overheads. Okay, now we are moving to ascertaining the elements of cost. Before going to see the elements of cost, what are all the objectives of costing? You know, the objectives of costing are cost reduction and cost control. While analyzing the cost reduction and cost control, the elements of cost has been classified properly as direct and indirect. All the direct material, direct labor and direct overheads forms prime cost, and all the indirect material, indirect labor and indirect overheads forms production overheads, administration overheads and selling and distribution overheads. That's why even the cost sheet has been classified into four major parts. The first part is prime cost part, and second part is known as work cost part, and third one is known as cost of production, and fourth one is considered as selling and distribution part, namely total cost or nothing but cost of sales. With the help of that cost sheet alone, we are finding the cost profit. This is the cost profit is helpful for the purpose of decision making, management purpose. Cost sheet is classified into four parts. The first part is calculation of prime cost, second part is known as calculation of work cost, and third part is known as cost to know about that cost of production, and fourth part is calculation of total cost or cost of sales. With the help of cost sheet alone, we are finding the cost profit. The cost profit is helpful for the purpose of decision making. Whether to produce or not, whether to go for make or buy, just like that. The management is going to decide, depends upon the cost sheet alone. That's why the cost sheet is classified into two, that is cost sheet with inventories and cost sheet without inventories. Cost sheet with inventories is only for the purpose of calculating closing stock. Cost sheet without inventories reveals each and everything clearly. What is the prime cost, what is the work cost, and what is the factory cost, and what is the production cost of production, and what is the cost of sales. With the help of that cost sheet, the management used to take the forecast the next budgeted period. With the help of cost sheet, the management used to prepare tender and quotation. Quotation is nothing but quoted price for the next production or forthcoming production. With the help of cost sheet, how the management is preparing the tender and quotation, you know, that is only for the purpose of calculating overheads and overhead expenses. With the help of cost sheet, the management used to prepare tender and quotation. What is quotation? You know, the quoted price for the forthcoming production alone. the tender, with the help of that tender and quotation, the management used to fix that selling price, cost price of a particular production. That with the help of cost sheet, they used to prepare overhead charges, the factory overhead charges, and cost of production charges, cost of selling charges. These three charges will be based on the cost sheet alone. That too, the factory charges will be calculated on the basis of direct labor cost and works cost and the cost of production alone. These three forms the tender and quotation. Hope you all understood this concept, cost accounting, tender and quotation.